Hello, everyone. This is Greg, your host of Goddamn Gamecube. Welcome to Season 3. If you enjoy listening to our show, consider subscribing to us on YouTube for exclusive video content. Thank you and enjoy today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Goddamn Gamecube. We have an exciting collaboration in store for you today. Andrew Rosas and Drew Saplin from Rooster Teeth have joined us today. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Fantastic. I'm doing great. I'm jumping in right ahead of Drew. I'm scooping him on the pleasantries. Fantastic. Thank you for having us. Thrilled to be here. Very exciting.
It's the first, I would call this technically the first stop on our podcast tour, I think is what.
Wow, this is the first one.
Well, there's been like some technicalities, but they've all been like friends and family. Like we've done like other friends podcasts.
I did my mom's podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
This is the first one where like strangers from the internet have been like, "Hey, do you want to be on our podcast?" And said,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So
nice.
Y'all are no pressure, but you guys will determine whether or not we continue to do this or not.
Yeah. Exactly. This
really.
I mean,
you came to the right place. This is home.
That's right.
Yeah. I just want to let you know there's going to be plenty of hardball here. A lot of hard hitting questions.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
This is real gotcha podcasting. I love it.
So, thank you guys for joining. So today we have some unique programming. We have a couple of segments we're going to go through. So first, this is the first stop on your tour, which is very exciting. So let's learn a little bit about you two first. So let's start off with a softball here. What's your role at Rooster Teeth? Maybe we'll start with Drew and then we'll kick it to Andrew.
Me and Andrew, although we both look very similar, we also have almost identical jobs and
names,
personalities.
Personalities and names and background and upbringing. It's very strange that I think we're just the same person from two different dimensions. I'm a writer-director at Rooster Teeth. I've directed some programs that you might have heard of, but maybe not. There's a show called Master and Apprentice that I do, where it's a making show. We make like stuff from video games and movies, and I make sure that we film it correctly and in order so that you can technically make it at home, but all the shit that we make is like, I almost asked if we could curse on this podcast, and then I remember the name of the podcast is Goddamn Gamecube. No, I'm good.
That's by design. You're fine.
But all the shit that we make on that show is like far too difficult to actually reproduce in real life. It's 8-foot swords and shit made, like hand carved out of balsa wood. So, but yeah, a writer director at Rooster Teeth. And then the reason that we're doing this podcast is me and Andrew have a show called The Most that just got picked up. We were only available, and it was a huge point of contention, and we complained all the time about only being available on roosterteeth.com. And they finally said, sure, whatever. If you'll go away, we'll let you be on Spotify for at least 8 weeks before we cancel you. Okay. And so we thought, why not try to do a podcast tour to get a ton of listeners so that we would make the threshold where we could be sold against.
So where we could get that sweet like MeUndies green.
Yeah, that's all I want. All I want is to be a shill for Purple Mattress. That's it.
Yeah,
perfect. I want to be reading manscaping ads till I die.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
I want to be buried with the Manscaped 9.0 whenever they get to that fucking level of one. Like, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Rosas, what do you do at Rooster Teeth?
Drew, I am also a writer and director.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Writer director. Work in the same department as Drew currently right now. But I came along to Rooster Teeth from the sketch comedy world. I was a sketch comedy writer for years and performer in Austin, Texas. And kind of got in the door that way, and then was hired on as like writing staff writing, and then eventually worked my way up to head writer for RT Shorts for a while as their our sketch comedy department there, and then sketch comedy on the internet died for a while. I feel like it's coming back, but who knows? Like we're getting into uncharted waters. But that's how I got involved with Rooster Teeth, is kind of through the shorts angle. But now aside from being again like looking similar, having the same name, we also have identical jobs in the same department.
Gotcha.
I consider myself like backup Drew in case like Drew goes down, they like boot me up and like.
I consider myself backup you. This is it's a complete circle.
You know,
it's like we fill our gaps in so well. I think that's the deal.
we did refer to you guys in our group chat as the two Drews, so I guess
course.
that
It
lines
works.
up with the branding.
It does.
Well, it's been a great podcast, guys. We'll see you later.
We'll see you.
Thanks for having us.
So Andrew, you kind of took the next question out of my mouth, but I'll kick it to Drew before we move on. So you kind of told us how, your career path and how you got into, or how you got started at Rooster Teeth. Drew, can you give us a little history of, what you've done leading up to Rooster Teeth?
Oh, sure. I was a PA, and then I was really bad at PAing for movies and TV. I was terrible. I can't take being managed at all, and so that kept getting fired or yelled at. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the boss's job. And so I started first ADing, and like people would be like, "What do you do?" PA. I'm like, no, I'm a first AD. And then people just started calling me because I kept saying it a lot. And so I wound up getting it's an AD job, but it's called a second AD on the movie Laser Team. And so I got introduced to all those dudes, and then wound up doing firsting a lot of $1 Million But, which is an old Rooster Teeth show where you get asked, you get $1 million, but this happens. And we would recreate the sketches in real life. So I was ADing for Blaine Gibson, who's a great director over there as well. And then I think he got sick or like had to go on vacation and was like, do you want to direct a couple of these? And I was like, shit, yeah, I do. And then directed enough to where they thought I didn't suck real bad, and they offered me a job. And then I've been there for about 4 years now. So I've been writing and directing full time for 4 years, and hopefully for at least a couple more.
Beppy, you want to take the next?
Yeah, I mean, to pretty much start things off, I couldn't believe when Nick, told us, he was like, yeah, we got some guys from Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, because Nick follows my mom on Twitter. Okay. I just want to be clear, like how this interview happened was my mom texted me and said, hey, these dudes on this podcast that has a bad word in it want you to be on. Is that okay? And I said, I don't know them. And she said, well, I'll give them your personal email. Or I'm sorry, she didn't say I'll give them. She said, I gave them your personal email. They'll be in touch. And I said,
which bad word was it, Mom? Yeah.
Aren't moms great?
Maybe you can be involved in their make-em-ups. Like, we're just like,
I hear they do a lot of skits.
They do a lot of fun skits. If you do a sketch at church camp, it's a skit. That's the rule, right?
Oh my God. I was blown away. And I mean, because I don't think Greg or Nick have the same kind of experience that I do, where I can go back to like freshman year of high school, and my friend is coming over and showing me Red versus Blue, which was my favorite show for a couple of years.
Nice.
And I couldn't believe it's like such a pioneer of machinima. Yeah. And I just wanted to ask you guys a quick question about how Rooster Teeth has evidently evolved and grown since then, and like what the kind of focus of the company is now.
We don't know.
I'm gonna piggyback off that. We don't know with we really don't know, because like the animation department is so far removed from like the live action department that like we have friends over there and we work with them, but like the decision making and the stuff that goes on and like the like higher level, like I would say like machinery and behind the scenes stuff is largely a mystery, even though like we interact with those people and like even like have meetings with them. Like it's so like Drew and I are both in sort of like the live action world. And so in terms of animation and machinima and like Red versus Blue and Ruby and all that kind of stuff is largely a mystery, and in like a cool way, because like it's nice to it's
fun to be surprised along with everyone else. It's just like,
exactly.
Oh, cool. We're doing that. Neat. We did Transformers. Are you kidding? Like we did the intro to what?
Yeah.
We are frequently surprised as well. And I think that's probably a good thing, because like I'm a real Tom Holland when it comes to like spoilers and like shit I shouldn't say. Like he's being like, hey, we're working. Yeah, not to drop anything, but guys, we're working on a Jurassic Park animated show. I don't know if you know that or not. It's like that's not a thing, but like if anybody gave me that information, I would be like, hey, we're going on a podcast tour. I'm telling everybody. Like,
you'd be a real
start giving you false scripts.
Yeah. You'd be a real Mark Ruffalo in that interview about Avengers Endgame, where
everybody
he just basically is like, everybody dies. And Don Cheadle almost
Cheadle's
like,
face.
Fuck, man, you fucking idiot. Like, oh man, one of the all-time great interviews of all time. Yeah, I agree with that sentiment, Nick. I'm glad it's largely a mystery, because like it helps you. I think it also helps you kind of be a fan of your own company too at the same time. If you're not privy to all the goings on. You get to be like in the all hands meetings when it's like, hey, by the way, guys, we're doing this. It's like, we're working on this. It's like, oh, cool. That's new and interesting and fun. So it helps you, keeps you on your toes in that regard, I would say.
All right. So, all right, I'm up next. I've got one for Drew.
Okay.
So, I was looking at some of the things that you've directed or written at Rooster Teeth, and I stumbled upon The Weird Place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't watched the entire season yet, but I have watched a few episodes. It's very funny. I like it a lot. So what was your role in it, and how was it going about making all those episodes? You were a writer as well?
I wrote and directed that with Dave Jasmine, who no longer works at Rooster Teeth, but is a great fucking dude. Him and I basically, I would have a coffee at 8 a.m. and then around 10 o'clock, it would all hit me at once. And I would just come into Dave's office, like swing the door and be like, okay, we got to go right now. And there was like a 2-hour window from like 10 to noon where I had a 10-foot whiteboard and I would just like scrawl shit on it. And like Dave would just sit there and like type along and be like, yeah, I got it. And it's like, does this make any fucking sense? And Dave would be like, yeah, no, it makes sense. It's like, yeah, but they're like transdimensional. And like, we jump over here and we jump back. And he'd be like, yeah, no, like, totally makes sense. I don't know why you don't think you make any sense right now, but it's working. And so we would map out every day the story and structure. And then it came to games, when it came to like the games that needed to like be figured out, because a lot of this stuff in the installation, their number one rule is like, don't make it an escape room. And I was like, well, sorry, y'all, that's what it's gonna be.
That's kind of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so all the games that are in that show, we invented ourselves, but that was a whole other process of me being like, okay, if they do this, and then like a Rubes Goldberg, like setting up a Rubes Goldberg, like 3,000 miles or however far, 1,500 miles away from where we're actually shooting it, and then seeing if it'll fit, like, because we did a scout there. And then it was like basically me and Dave had all these ideas, went there, had all the ideas completely thrown out the window because like this place is insane, and then came back and like restructured all the games and stuff to make it playable. And so that was kind of the process that we went through. And then the shoot was 4 episodes, so it was 4 nights, and we would shoot overnight, which made everybody dumb, which made everything much funnier because nobody could solve any of the puzzles or anything. And so, because they were just like tired and like, you're also like Santa Fe's at altitude. Rosas, we have talked about so much about Santa Fe. I feel like you and I are going to retire and do painting in the mountains of Santa Fe. Over the last 2 weeks, it's come up like 9 times.
I know. I'm already there in my mind, man.
Right.
I'm living there.
Just along for the ride.
I think there could be way worse fates.
Absolutely.
That sounds pretty good to me.
You're just at Cars. You're in your own personal hell, which is at Cars in Santa Fe.
Yeah. Before you know it, I'm going to have turquoise pinky rings.
I just want one. I just want one turquoise. I just want to be prestigious enough to have one turquoise pinky ring. But that show was insane and incredible and a lot of fun to make, just being out in their space and night after night, just setting new stuff up and having them eat weird shit and like do weird shit. It was just if there's anything that I've made that I'm more like, I'm not proud of anything else. I'm sorry. That's the thing I'm most proud of. Clip that. That'll be the title of the episode. That's the thing that I've made that I'm the most proud of, because it was, that Meow Wolf as a company was leading the vanguard in terms of diversity and inclusion, and as well as like creatives doing creative stuff and giving the creatives the space to do that. And so they really let us come in and just make some art, and we're really pleased with, like, everybody on the team was really happy about what they had made and what we had made. So
Meow Wolf was dope. That's a really cool spot.
Yeah,
and that's awesome.
Probably George R.R. Martin's greatest achievement, to be honest with you. He finished it.
The other like really weird and humbling thing that came from that was like, we went to RTX that next year, and like, like the animated characters get cosplayed a lot, like the Ruby characters, etc. But somebody had cosplayed one of the characters that I had invented for the show, and like she showed up and like was in it, and I was like, I stopped her, like instead of it usually being the other way where somebody's like, can I get a picture with you? I was like, you come here, can I have a picture with you? And she was like, who are you? And I was like, I made that. That's me. And she was just like, okay. It's like, I think that the picture's on the internet, and I'm like super amped, and she's just like I don't.
That's incredible.
Who is this man?
So a follow up to that, I was looking at the weird place on roosterteeth.com. I was reading all the comments. Can you give us a little bit of Tom Holland, Mark Ruffalo spoilers? Is there going to be a season 2? People seem to be clamoring for it.
We can't disclose if there's a season 2 or not.
Okay. All right.
I can neither confirm nor deny a season 2. I will say that Meow Wolf has since opened an installment in Las Vegas and Denver. And both of those spots are dope as hell. So if nothing else, if you're looking for a weird place to fix, just buy a plane ticket to either of those places and go. Make sure to wear a mask.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Oh, thank you. All right. This next question is for you, Andrew. So this actually involves the 2 things that are hanging behind your head right now. I came across your site and your oil paintings. They are super dope. And I would love for you to tell us about how you got into it and what you currently do with your paintings. Do you take commissions? Yeah, please.
Oh my goodness. Thank you very much. Well, I should clarify. This thing painting is not one I've done. This was a gift, but I love it so much. It's my favorite movie, so I keep it up back here. This one up here is one that I did.
I saw that on your website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosas, do you want to tell us what you're pointing at?
Okay. Audience, close your eyes. Visualize this. Go step into my mind palace. Over here, over my right shoulder, is a painting of a dog from the movie The Thing, standing in a snowy background, and also has the alien tentacles coming out of it. It's really great. Over my left shoulder is a red cheap Bic lighter that I painted using oil paints, water mixable oil paints. It's lying on its side in relief on a blue background. So that is what we're referencing. But to answer your question, oil painting, I'm very new to it. I didn't go to art school or anything like that. At the beginning of quarantine, I got an iPad because, I was going to go kind of nuts if I was just home alone all the time and not having multiple kind of creative outlets, because I wasn't going to the office. We weren't filming anything. We weren't on location on set. So it was just being at home, working from home. And it's I have one giant room that I live in. So, it'd be very easy to get cabin fever. So I got an iPad to just fuck around on, I'll try some art on it. Started sketching, drawing, using that. And really had a great time. Found it very meditative and relaxing and a lot of fun. But all it made me want to do was actually work with physical media, actually work with paints. Every time I wanted to try to do something digitally to make it look like paint, it just never. There wasn't the tactile response and feel that I was looking for, because it's still, it's a miracle of technology to have just an Apple Pencil you put on a thing. It wasn't the same. So I was just fuck it. I'm going to
have the humanity.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Humanity.
Doesn't have the humanity. Doesn't have, exactly. The physicality in this dimension that I wanted. So I went to the art store. The art supply store, and I did a little bit of research. I was I think I want to I've had some artists that I like on Instagram that I followed, and kind of saw what they were using, just materials wise. And I was okay, so I got some of those, got some canvases, or I use gessoed boards instead of canvases, mostly for my stuff. Just tried it out. Just sat down and was all right, I'm gonna try to paint. I think the very first thing that I painted was some lollipops. I was just I'm gonna try to do this. So I did a little sketch of the canvas and just did it. And I love it. It's one of my absolute favorite things.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I have one follow-up question to that, actually. So how many views does this episode need to get for you to do an oil painting of a GameCube for us?
Oh my God.
Wow.
GameCube.
6?
I could just let you. I could give you one. I could give you one of the 7 GameCube paintings I already have.
My God,
that's what we're worth to you, huh?
Which one do you like?
I'm fucking up to here with GameCube paintings. Can't get rid of them. They're propping up uneven tables around here. I'm just
perfect.
Those goddamn GameCube paintings.
Those goddamn GameCube paintings.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
The other thing that is not only commendable but also just grossly infuriating is how good Andrew is at painting, having never had anything no like he said, he not professionally trained at all, but then just everything else. Andrew's very good at not only painting, but then like as we can see, but the audience can't. There's a guitar neck behind him as well. He could pick that up and just play some shit, and then also like then design his own band logo in Photoshop. The jack of all trades that is Andrew Rosas. Makes me so mad that I only do TikTok and play Breath of the Wild. That's it. It's just like I'll be in the middle of like dying for the 9th time in Breath of the Wild because that's what I'm working on right now. And I'll be like, what is Andrew doing? And then he'll post something like a picture, that fucking duck that we like went on about on the podcast this last week. Andrew entered the what is it? The duck stamp, the
federal duck stamp competition.
The federal duck stamp competition, and apparently the winning duck gets $1 million fucking dollars. And the painting he did is insane. Like it is like it looks like a photograph. And meanwhile, I haven't even gotten the Master Sword yet. So.
We're all on our own path.
That's right.
Some of us are just in our underwear a lot more, and that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm painting in my underwear. I'm in sure. I look like Alfred Molina from Boogie Nights when I'm painting over here. I'm in an open robe. There's a kid lighting firecrackers around me while I'm painting ducks. No, it's a scene, man.
Well, that's
what
awesome. Yeah, right. Thank you for the incredible visuals today, Andrew. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So last question I have, this is for both of you, for whomever wants to take it up first. I just want to ask you both about the various Rooster Teeth shorts that you've been involved in, maybe some of the favorites you've worked on, maybe recently, or some ones that you want to maybe get out there in the world a little bit more. So either one of you can just jump right in.
There's one that Andrew's in that he wrote that I directed that I take all the credit for. I can't remember the character's name, but it's one of my favorite shorts. Andrew, which one is it? The one where you get hit with the skateboard.
Self-defense class?
Yeah, self-defense class. That one's one. It's
Dwayne Kersey?
Dwayne Kersey, that's right. The character's name is Dwayne Kersey, and he's just a self-defense instructor that comes to Rooster Teeth to teach everybody a little self-defense. And the improv on set that day we could not stop cackling with laughter. The other one that was my personal favorite is I think it's like called the Heist short or something like that. The hardest I've ever laughed on set is because of the ending of that short. Like we shot it and I couldn't fucking breathe. So if you're checking out Ultimate Heist and Self-Defense Class. Andrew, what about you?
I like Self-Defense Class too, simply because it was just a chance to be an idiot and play a character. Because normally for most RT shorts, I wrote them or directed them, but I was in very few. So I was behind the camera for the most part. But Self-Defense Class Dwayne Kersey was a real fun opportunity to get in front of the camera and just play an idiot and just channel Danny McBride. That's really all I wanted to do with that one. It's just the most fun characters are people with unearned confidence. That's if you're out there writing a fun sketch character, an idiot with unearned confidence is a great place to start. Sage
advice.
There's
so many in the real world. It's very relatable.
Exactly. No, exactly. So so Dwayne Kersey is an absolutely dog shit self-defense instructor, but thinks he has all the answers and just gets savagely beaten over 6 minutes. Because again, he's a terrible self-defense instructor. And yeah, I think that looms large as one of my favorites that I got to be in. I think my favorite one that I wrote, because I think about it a lot, is one that we did for Halloween. I really like genred comedies, and so when we get to do ones for Halloween for horror shorts are a lot of fun. Christmas as well. But I did a horror short a couple years ago called "You've Been Warned," which was a lot of fun to do, and it takes some fun, your standard horror tropes, kids stop at a gas station and there's an old man sitting out front, that tells them, hey, you kids don't go up to the lake, because a bunch of kids just like you died out there 20 years ago tonight. And then that old man, and the kids leave, that old man walks off and runs into another old man. It's just an escalating series of old men running into each other, warning them, and it just heightens and escalates to a completely ridiculous place. So if you like horror tropes, check out You've Been Warned. I think is
that's the name of it. Well, and I guess we're technically not on we're on Rooster Teeth equipment, but it'll be fine. We're actually working on a short together outside of Rooster Teeth that we're shooting in 2 weeks, which I just realized is very close, and I have a lot of work to do. Andrew's directing and I'm producing, which means I'm hiring everybody and then telling Andrew that I hired them, which I need to be probably doing right now. Most of them are hired, but we're working on a short. It's called Stolen, so it'll be, hopefully, fingers fucking crossed, it goes to the festival circuit. I hope you're okay with me talking about this. We didn't talk about it before.
Of course. Okay,
great.
Yeah.
We can. It's not live. We can cut it out if we don't like it. But
yeah, I'll cut it out if I want to.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
I'm just kidding.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Who's the host here?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
No, I have the host hammer here. So on the same subject of film, we're going to move on to our second segment here.
Ooh.
So off mic, you guys said you were movie buffs. So we're gonna play some hardball here. So here we go.
Andrew will trounce me in whatever we're about to do. I know a lot of facts.
Here we go. So we'll be as gentle as we can here. So video game movies are consistently derided as bad and have like a track record of failure.
Sure.
So like before we get into specifics, like let me ask you guys, if you're movie buffs, give me an opinion. Why do you think so many video game movies fail, and why hasn't it gotten much better? Although save for maybe a few examples.
I think if you want to like talk about like if we want to get down to the root of why video game movies fail, it may be because like I think the best video games, or at least like best modern video games that are telling a very intricate and long, complicated story enough to keep you invested over the hours and hours you have to pour into a video game. A movie, even like a 2.5 hour movie, 3 hour movie, I don't even think can sustain that level of that same kind of grind that you have to do in a lot of video games. And I think what comes with the best games that I can think of or that I can have played is that like over those hours and hours and hours that you're grinding in this game, you're like, you're identifying with the character, you're building a relationship with the character over hours and hours and hours subtly, and to cram that into 2.5 hours, 2.5 hour movie is really hard to do. Like, I don't want them to make a Red Dead Redemption 2 movie.
Sure.
Like, I think it'll suck ass because I don't want like
following. I would argue you are also prescribing some of your own some of your own ego goes into that character, right? Like you don't need to know. Yeah. Like let's take Super Mario for example. Like you don't need to know shit about Mario to know that he's going to go kill these mushrooms or whatever. But I'm putting myself in the Mario shoes. So whatever version of Mario that I'm ever going to see, even though that movie's fucking fire, and you can fight me on that because that Super Mario is so fucking good.
We were going to ask you about it, actually.
Like, the version of Mario that I played me as Mario. And so Bob Hoskins as Mario isn't my Mario. That's not me. And so I think that's where your big one disconnect is. And I think the other one is that like what sells as a video game is ubiquitous adventure, where it's just like, yeah, you're in anybody's shoes and you're able to go do it. What sells as a movie is premise. So you can get away with Mario being a really weak premised video game. Man, plumber goes kills mushrooms. Weird. As a premise for a film, does not translate. That kind of follows the path of like Mortal Kombat. You and your brother are beating the shit out of each other in mom's basement, and the story doesn't matter because that guy has fire and this guy has ice, and it's great. Now we have to build in a premise as to the why these people have fire and ice, and it's like, well, that who gives a shit about that? I just want to go beat somebody up.
I think though, if I have hope for one franchise to break out of this this cursed land,
Resident Evil
is oh god no is Uncharted. I think Uncharted, which I think they're working on right now. I think that's being made.
Last of Us is going to be turned into a TV show, which I think is a smart move.
They already made the Uncharted movie. It was Indiana Jones, right?
Right.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
All the Tomb Raiders.
Okay, but see. Okay, here's where I think that here's why I think the Uncharted series will work is because it has the cultural touchstones in your mind. of Indiana Jones, of Tomb Raider. You already kind of know what those movies are going to be about. So you don't have to lay the tedious track of world building that eats up the first half hour of so many video game movies explaining the why of this. Fuck it. We don't need the why, but again, I think that's where a lot of like execs and studios people's like short circuit is. They have, it's like, well, why is this happening? It's like, I don't know. Did you play the game?
Right.
Yeah.
Millionaire?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You want to make this movie, you're cutting the checks. Like, but it's like, but I don't understand why. It's like, great, we'll build in 30 minutes of why, and everyone will lose interest by the time we get to the attack point or whatever.
Right.
Mhm.
Like,
We were going to touch on a couple of video game movies here. I mean, we could talk for hours, but we'll try to go rapid fire here. So you took a couple of them out of our mouths already, and I'm sure we'll have a good laugh at them. But let me ask you this. So I actually really like Detective Pikachu. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see Detective Pikachu?
It's a Warner property, so yes, I did.
Okay.
and loved it.
Yeah.
We should all love Detective Pikachu.
Cha-ching.
what I was going to say about that is I feel like it's I shouldn't say the one. It's the one video game movie I've seen recently where I'm like, wait a minute, that movie wasn't stupid. Like, it was actually like really cute and like emotional, and I got into it. And I was like, can we get a little bit more of that? Where it's like, it's not just like it's enough of a movie where kids could enjoy it and adults.
Yeah. I saw Detective Pikachu. I enjoyed Detective Pikachu, even though I think the like conceit at the very end doesn't hold up to much scrutiny. Like, you have to. I was like, wait, well, I won't spoil it, but anyway, I was just like,
whatever.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. But I think it does something interesting which is take the world. So you have the world of Pokemon, and then transpose onto that an interesting premise or situation or scenario. To getting back to what I was kind of saying is, I feel like so many video game movies fail is because the whole movie is dedicated to the why.
Right.
So you're doing so much, you're laying so much track to explain why this movie should exist, rather than this is a property you know and love. Now let's have a murder mystery in it. Like,
right.
Let's take that inside this world that you're already familiar with because you play the damn game. You guys, you thought it was well known enough to make a movie out of it. So obviously the audience is there. So I think like that's why. It's because you're taking these characters you're familiar with and putting them within a premise that Drew said is like, I think the most important part of the movie element of it. And once you bring those two great tastes taste great together. I'm bringing it into this podcast, Drew.
So in terms of other movies, now Beppy, you've got a few here that you're going to tackle. Why don't you? We could talk about this for so long, but why don't we just hit through these?
Okay. So you guys actually brought up both of my initial choices here. The Super Mario Bros. Movie we actually watched as a group.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking
and
fire.
I think until a moment ago, I thought our opinions were pretty unpopular, but we were big fans.
I love it.
I don't know. I don't know if you want to speak at all about your impressions of that film.
Okay, so Drew, you're a big fan of it.
Huge fan.
I haven't seen it in a very long time.
I also haven't seen it in a long time, so that might be informing my decision. But go ahead.
This now I could be way off base here, but in my mind, it represents one of the last. Because when did that movie come out? 1994. 94. Okay, I feel like it was like early mid 90s, and I could be wrong on this, but hear me out. I think the Super Mario Brothers movie is one of the last vestiges of Hollywood that was run on cocaine.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah, at 100%.
Because I feel like we got some of the craziest, most batshit, and honestly bad but enjoyable movies from cocaine in the 80s and early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Then somewhere along the way, Hollywood switched to green juices. Like, we got a lot of that. That's what Hollywood is run on now. But I feel like that movie is one of the last examples of a movie made entirely out of cocaine, and maybe why it's so enjoyable. Like, because it's mania. It's absolute mania. That's my theory.
Just Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, and then not Dennis Rodman. What's his name?
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. I mean, why not?
Hold on at this point.
Dennis Rodman as King Koopa.
Yeah.
Just how they shoehorned in how the universe works. Like, just like, oh, they have put them in jumping boots. That's a thing now. Great.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just like, again, how they shoehorned the why in all of those moments of like, why is there a lizard? Oh, like they just completely did whatever they wanted to. And then,
Oh yeah.
just also the set deck for whatever reason in that movie sticks with me a lot, where it's just like those weird, like the power-up mushroom is like this weird, gross little mushroom that grows out of a pipe. Just like weird shit like that, where it's like,
it all looks like laser tag to me.
Yeah, right.
incredible, like so well. It's beautifully executed. The art department's beautifully done. The script is terrible. And just like the fact that, again, it's one of those things. That's why I think a lot of movies are even on Criterion a lot of times. We're just like, I can't believe they got away with this shit. Like, that's why we're putting it over here. It's like, look, some asshole gave these people a lot of money. And now we have this thing. Like,
are you suggesting this is going to wind up in the Criterion closet?
I think it might. And if I ever get successful enough to visit the Criterion closet, I'm picking Super Mario Brothers. That's what's happening.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it is indeed one of the last of its time, where I feel like it was such a legitimizing thing where it's like, wow, it's so important that they're making a movie, and now it's kind of taken for granted, and it's not that surprising. Like, they make movies out of everything now. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's a really remarkable, I'm just glad the cameras are rolling those days, because wow, they caught it all.
They caught it all.
For better or worse.
Yeah.
The other one we had was Resident Evil. Have you guys followed those movies?
Oh God.
Well,
Go ahead, Drew.
I was gonna say one of our first interviews for the most was with Paul Anderson.
WS
Yeah,
Anderson.
not Paul
Jesus
Anderson.
Christ.
The other
That's unbelievable.
Paul Anderson and Mia Jovovich. We did like a special like thing.
Really?
Wow.
For
Yeah.
Monster Hunter. And so like,
oh, that's another bad one.
And that's another bad one. But also they were the sweetest people. And so I can't bring myself to be like, yeah, Resident Evil, bummer. No, like just like I had brought one of the swords from Master and Apprentice that we had made from Monster Hunter. And Paul Anderson was like, very good job. Like, just very nice. Like some dude in his house in LA just being like very sweet. And like on this poor dude on this press tour for a movie that he didn't do very well. So it's just like,
that's where you get that perspective, These are human beings doing this stuff. Oh my God.
So a couple of, I guess it was when we were on the podcast, Drew, on the RT podcast, and we were talking about movies we walked out of. I left one off the list, and one of them was one of the Resident Evil movies.
Which one?
But here's the thing. It was Resident Evil 3, I think.
Extinction.
Oh, God.
Extinction. I walked out of not because it was bad. It is. Yeah, I was sick. Like I got physically ill. Not from watching the movie.
It made you sick?
Or maybe.
Oh yeah, I got contact salmonella from.
Oh my God.
Wait, so did you barf in the theater, or did you poop your pants in the theater, or did you manage to make it out of the theater before others?
I made it out of the theater to throw up in the bathroom, and then I went home because I was decidedly ill.
The amount of times I've made it to the bathroom to throw up is remarkably low. Like
what?
Yeah, like I've gotten there, but like eventually, but like the first time, it always takes me by surprise, and I never fucking make it. It is always in the hallway.
You're always going to associate Resident Evil with barfing now.
I truly do. Like I can still smell the that acidic bile smell. Like whenever I see
musty theater.
Whenever I see a Resident Evil poster, I honestly of course I don't think after 3. I didn't even finish 3, and so I haven't been back to the franchise since that. I remember 1 and 2 being like bad, but that was also like way back in the day when bad movies were enjoyable to a point because you partake of some substances and go to the theater with your friends and just goof on it. It's enjoyable, but I don't know. I'm not going back. I'm not going back to revisit the Resident Evil franchise. I don't.
Who could blame you?
I don't think it has anything for me.
There's a Fast and Furious Resident Evil crossover coming out next year that I'm very excited about. So they just announced it.
Excuse me.
Perfect. Perfect. I mean, it's like I've seen some footage from the later movies, and it just looks like absolutely bonkers. But we're trying to. Greg and I are pretty much like the street team at this point for the new Resident Evil movie coming out, because like no one's talking about it.
What is it? Tell me.
I don't even know there was one.
It's allegedly supposed to be like starting over, like harkening back to the first two games and featuring all those characters that weren't like featured at all in the other movies for some reason.
I hope the dialogue is as stilted and wooden as the first two. Just man, it's God, those first two movies.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I want it that way.
Yeah.
The thing I feel like, okay, so again, I'm going to cast aspersions here. I'm gonna commit some slander. Is it possible, because the Resident Evil movies, how many are there? 9 now. They're it's on pace. It's on pace. I feel like it's on pace with the Fast franchise at this point. God. I don't know how many there are, but there's a lot.
Getting there.
There's a lot of them, and they are typically universally reviled by most people and video game fans, yet they still make them. So my question is, what kind of money laundering scheme is going? Like, what kind of like mattress firm bullshit is happening with this franchise?
I thought you liked Paul W.S. Anderson.
I do like him.
You're like legally accusing him of wrongdoing.
Allegedly.
Our lawyers have informed us this is all hypothetical.
Yes.
The new Resident Evil movie.
I've seen the documents.
I just feel like it was ultimately like a poor represented, because I saw some of the movies first, and then Greg was like, the games are nothing like them, you have to try the games. And it's like, wow, these are completely different worlds. And I feel like a lot of like video game movies are like that, where they're almost like ashamed of like what they're adapting, so they water it down like a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future is, but
on the same sort of scary game horror movie sort of bent here, a movie franchise that I found fascinating, not necessarily because of the content in the movie. Are you guys familiar with the Silent Hill movies at all? Have you seen them?
Ain't seen them.
Haven't seen them.
Haven't seen them.
Okay, we can make this nice and brief. So what I find really interesting about the Silent Hill movies is I have had several people in my life, they're like, oh, Greg likes video games, but it's completely unrelated. They say, oh, my favorite horror movie is the Silent Hill movie. And I'm like, oh, it's based off the game, right? And they're like, it's a game? And like, I don't know, like, where that came from. I don't know where that came from or why, but I also like, I don't want to just like make this a podcast where I like shit on things, but like the movies are not
really? Like,
good.
it's not that already.
It's not that. Yeah. I mean, they're not good, but for some reason, like, I feel like the part of the fan base that really likes the movie and has never played the game is bigger than you would think in some cases. But speaking of other movies, I mean, you guys already touched on Mortal Kombat. Beppy, did you want to talk about Pixels or maybe Warcraft before we move on here?
Oh,
dude,
no.
Pixels
Poor Duncan Jones.
shit.
Poor Duncan Jones and Warcraft. He was,
Okay, can I... I'm sorry. Before we jump into that, I want to address this really quick just to get this out of the way.
Sure.
So I have been seeing trailers for the movie Free Guy for 7
Jesus.
years.
for 1,000 years.
When the fuck is this movie coming out? I have been seeing trailers for this thing for, I would say, the better part of this decade.
I think it's literally coming out tomorrow as of the time we're recording this.
Can't wait. Can't fucking wait.
Black Widow finally.
Can't wait. Even though that's all I've been doing is waiting, apparently. I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw that in there.
A remake of Ryan Reynolds did that movie The Nines back in the day, which is the exact same concept. He's a sim. And exact same concept, just different level of budget.
A little bit of Truman Show too. It's
nothing new under the sun.
I don't know. I got Pixels vibes from that trailer. To be honest with you, I don't have high hopes.
Pixels is fucking awful.
Pixels was Adam Sandler.
We had a group watch of Pixels too. Yeah.
And wait, isn't Pixels also? Didn't Pixels also legitimately just lift the entire premise from that Futurama like anthology of interest episode? Where it's like, oh, space invaders literally come down to Earth and they've got to get the best video game player in the galaxy, like the best. It's literally the exact. They just lifted the entire beat for beat that plot of that like anthology of interest from Futurama. It's a great episode, but I remember seeing that and being like, the fuck in an industry that is so hyper concerned with like IP security. They're all just lifting shit from each other constantly. It's hilarious. Yeah.
It's all parallel thinking, man. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Parallel thinking.
Now, before we move on to the third segment, there was a relatively recent video game movie that I feel like it went through one of these sagas. It's the Sonic movie.
Oh yeah,
where
the fucked up teeth.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
like I didn't see it, but Nick and Beppy, you guys did, right? Am I wrong?
I didn't.
Nick, did you see the Sonic movie?
Okay, so I didn't see it, but I have friends who told me all about it, so I kind of feel like I saw it, to be honest with you. So
That will take it.
yeah, this movie went through one of some crazy shit before it actually came out. Like the internet backlash about what Sonic looked like, and they literally went back and did it again.
Yeah.
Can you guys?
I've never seen that
Yeah,
before.
can you guys think
ever.
of any time that's happened before? I can't.
Where like internet, like Twitter outrage, like
Yes.
took a movie out of post-production back into production.
Pretty much, yeah.
Jesus, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, hindsight's 2020, but I feel like, did going back into production to like redo those graphics and refilm those things like wildly affect their bottom line? Did it actually get them more audience?
I mean, they're doing a Sonic 2. Idris Elba got announced as Knuckles
Yes,
like today,
yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yesterday, today, something like that.
nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
So
I think it was money well spent, to be
had-
honest.
yeah.
I mean,
had they not unfucked up his teeth, maybe no Idris Elba. Maybe there's a different timeline for Idris Elba.
right.
Whoa.
Perhaps.
exactly.
Perhaps.
Exactly.
I didn't see the Sonic movie, but so I don't know the premise of it. But see, Sonic to me feels like you could do the same thing with like you could do with Detective Pikachu or something, is you take Sonic and put him in like a genre film. Like you could like, I don't know, do something like a little bit different with that property, considering like, because you don't want a hyper realistic Sonic. You don't want the gritty, photorealistic hedgehog that's like running around. Like that's ridiculous.
It's always odd when he's like with people.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like he's like almost the same height. It's strange. It's like, I don't know.
Weird.
Wait, is he like human height?
No,
Because
no,
that's
he's-
fucked up.
Not in the movie, but in like Sonic 06, and like there's some strange stuff out there. Some strange Sonic.
Okay, yeah,
content.
if Sonic were 6 feet tall, as tall as a man, that would be the most like in the movie, like standing next
That's what I want.
standing next to
Just-
Cyclops. Yeah.
Just next to James
Big
Marsden,
Sonic.
looking him square in the eye.
I mean, stop, eject the DVD, throw the DVD in the trash, and the DVD player as well. Like that is fucked up. I never want to think about that. A human height Sonic.
Tall Sonic makes you uncomfortable. Tall Sonic is your sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah, exactly.
That's gonna be the thumbnail for this episode. Tall Sonic.
Tall Sonic. Yeah. So I mean, we could talk movies and games forever, but we're gonna move on to the third and final segment here.
Oh, yes.
So now, gentlemen, your podcast, The Most. We're gonna play your game by hopefully your rules or close to it.
Hey,
So we're gonna ask some questions to the entire panel that involve the most as a part of the question, and let's hear your answers. So for anyone on YouTube listening along, feel free to put your answers in the comments. So we'll, I feel like this is a group that likes to chat, so we're going to try to go as rapid fire as we can here.
Sure.
So
Sorry,
I'm
we're
going to go
talkers.
around, I'm going to ask a question. I'll go around the panel, and we're all assigned some questions here. So let's go ahead. Number one, what game or movie made you the most scared while playing or watching? We're going to start with Beppy, and then I will call people out in a row. Beppy, go.
Scared.
Playing or watching, movie or game?
I'll lean into the game and talk about that Resident Evil baby that we were just like that like I told you, I was sitting there in the dark playing this game, and it literally just made me scream. Like I'm not like easily startled. That thing is fucking horrifying.
That was the worst
That's
thing.
mine.
Drew.
Signs.
Oh, that's
wow,
a scary
Signs is
movie.
awesome.
Very
Yes.
classy. Andrew.
Good one.
Without question, playing with headphones on, Alien Isolation.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, that game's pretty scary.
I couldn't finish it. I had to put it down. Like I got so like my heart rate was through the roof playing that game. Terrifying game.
Oh man,
Greg would
you and
argue
I-
you're better off not finishing it.
Yeah, you and I would have a contentious argument because listen, I agree. I also hated it, but I do agree that it was very scary. Nick, most scared playing a game or watching a movie? Go.
Sure. So most people on this podcast know I do not do horror movies. I am a huge wuss when it comes to horror movies. So pretty much any horror movie ever made has scared me into weeks worth of nightmares. But if we're going to talk about something specific, I am going to say when I played Resident Evil 7 in VR.
Oh, that's a good op, dude. That's a good choice.
That was absolutely terrifying. I think I lasted 15 minutes. I barely got in the house. My hand got cut off. I'm like, fuck it. I'm done. I can't even do this anymore.
Beppy, take the next question.
Yes. So what game have you died the most in?
I mean, I hate to just say the most obvious answer, which is Dark Souls. I mean, it is. But I enjoyed it the whole time. I enjoyed getting my ass kicked. So that's got to be mine. Drew.
Crash Bandicoot 1.
Oh,
yeah.
Good one.
Punishing.
Andrew.
Super Mario World. Because I got that at a time when I had the right time and sunk so many hours into it and died all the time, and recently picked it back up on Switch, and I am awful at it. I die constantly. I have lost all gameplay ability for fucking Super Mario World now. I'm just dog shit. I'm terrible at it.
Okay, so because Greg already said Dark Souls, I'm going to choose something else. I am going to have to go with, I talked about this on our Final Fantasy Madness episode. I'm going to have to go with Final Fantasy 3. I have never game overed and lost hours of progress so many times in a video game. It was hell. Don't ever play this game.
I actually, I think, Greg, I'm pretty much with you. Sekiro with the last boss, it was at least like 50 tries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind the rest of the game.
Right.
Nick, take the next one.
All right. So what game have you played the most or replayed the most, or what movie? Oh, that's the next one. Sorry. What game have you played the most or replayed the most? Yeah, Beppy, why don't you take this one first?
Oh, sure. Yeah, game I think is going to be Halo 2. I checked my stats on the Mr. Chief collection pretty recently. It's in the realm of a couple hundred days.
Yeah.
So, and that's not even like the original Xbox game. So it's got to be up there. That's mine.
All right, Andrew.
I would say probably the game that I sunk the most amount of time into, maybe not played the most, but definitely sunk the most time into, was Red Dead 2. Because I did every single, got all the legendary animals, did all the side quests and all that kind of stuff. I'm almost, and I could still get into it, but I tried to grind as much of that game as possible because I love that world so much. But yeah, that's mine.
All right, Greg.
Dude, you know what mine is? It's RuneScape, dude.
Oh fuck!
RuneScape. Oh yeah, let's go.
I didn't even think about that,
dude. Wow. That was my era,
RuneScape
man. Like 03 to 07, like middle school.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's when you have that free time. You can just go and go.
I didn't even think about that. That's a great one. All right, Drew.
I'm going to say Crash Bandicoot 2 because my parents bought me a PlayStation when I was 10, but they didn't understand what a memory card was. And so I would play it for as long as I could until I would pause it until the PlayStation overheated. And so I would just keep playing the same
oh my
loop
God.
Until recently during COVID, I wound up going back through the second one and just beat the shit out of it and being like, oh,
nice.
Cool. There's 5 extra levels.
Nice. So, we're not going to get mine?
Oh,
jeez.
Wow.
I escaped the question, not even let me go. Well, so I mean, obviously RuneScape would have been a great one. I won't say it. I won't copy Greg. Greg, you know what I'm about to say. It's going to be Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, for sure.
I've played that game so many times. Can't even tell you, Greg, our game battery died because I played that game so much.
Damn.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
And I'm a little bit embarrassed, but whatever.
I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah.
So similar vein here. What movie have you rewatched the most? We're going to start with Beppy.
Is it weird if I say Borat?
No. I mean, maybe.
I think it might be.
That's hilarious.
There's a period of my life where that's like all I was watching.
Drew,
what can I say?
Go ahead.
Probably The Life Aquatic.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's up there
It
too
came out
for
on my
me.
birthday when I was like 17, and like I always wanted to be an oceanographer as a kid. So it's all the things I like:
cool.
movies, oceanography.
Andrew.
Awesome.
Okay, so this comes with a huge caveat, but I used to do live in-person movie mocking with a comedy troupe here in Austin called Master Pancake Theater. And so we do 4 shows every weekend at the Alamo Draft House. And so I have seen a lot of movies, a lot of bad movies many times.
Nice.
And I would say that a heavy contender for a movie that I have seen, I'm saying at this point in the many years, because we redo shows, I would say one of the movies that I've seen the most is 50 Shades of Grey.
Really?
Oh no!
I have probably seen like the handful that I can think of: 50 Shades of Grey, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park.
Is up there. I've seen like probably a handful of movies over 100 times, and 50
Wow.
Shades of Grey is up there in the like 80s or 90s.
Damn.
So that comes with a
Wow.
heavy caveat, but it's pretty wild to think that I have spent like significant amounts of my life watching
Yeah.
these.
50 Shades of
So
Grey.
does it get better the more you watch it?
Oh, absolutely. It's I have Stockholm syndrome with 50 Shades of Grey now. I now love it as
Oh
my
no!
my one true love. Yeah, exactly.
That's
What it does
awesome.
to you.
Yeah.
Nick, go ahead.
This is really embarrassing. I
Go
hate
ahead.
this.
Go ahead.
It's The Room.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's The Room.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
From seeing it in theaters with throwing the spoons, or just having showings here at my condo with friends. Oh God, I think I've seen it 20 times. Please help me.
Yeah, no, the room is like the tape from The Ring.
Yep.
Like you have to
Yeah.
show it to someone.
Yes, exactly.
After you see it, you're like, oh my God, you haven't seen it. Like you have to, and they both have like a pale, dark-haired monster in them. Like,
Oh yeah.
it is the tape from The Ring. You must show it to someone who hasn't seen
Yep.
it. So that makes perfect sense. You would have seen, of course, you've seen The Room 20 or more times. Perfect.
God.
It's incredible.
Listen, I'm a man of taste, and I believe
Ooh.
mine is actually Lord of the Rings. I think it actually
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
So for the sake of time, I'm gonna roll through these. So here we go with the next one. So this is a sad one. What was the most disappointing game or movie that you were looking forward to? Beppy, I think I know yours, so can you go first?
Oh, are you talking about Dark Souls 2?
Well, I thought you were,
that's a good one.
I thought you were gonna say Halo 3, but
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
both pretty high.
yeah. Drew,
Next.
most disappointing movie or game you were looking forward
I'm
to?
just gonna say Crash Bandicoot 3 to keep with the theme. I can't think of the
yeah.
answer, but I just wanted to knock out the trifecta.
Andrew.
You can do 4 next.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I don't know where we're short on time. But I feel like the Darjeeling Limited, to go back
you're right.
to Wes Anderson, that Drew referenced earlier. I really feel like I was really teed up to love the Darjeeling Limited, and I just did because I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan, and that one was a real whiff for me. Like I was just like, man,
I thought it was pretty low for me in his pantheon.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I'd say the Darjeeling Limited was a big swing and a miss when I was poised to be absolutely in love with it.
Nick.
Like Drew, I'm gonna keep going with my theme here. I'm gonna have to say Fire Emblem Fates
Oh, sure.
is
Yeah.
a huge disappointment for me. Everyone knows how terrible the script is and what we expect from that series. Very disappointing.
I have no idea what mine is. I feel like I'm more of like a gaming academic where I play everything, and even though I hate it, I still finish it.
Is it Control?
Oh, that game sucks.
Oh my God! Holy shit! That's mine. That is absolutely my game.
Wait, really? Wait a minute. You hate it or you love it?
I hate it.
I fucking hated it.
Why do you hate it? Because
Why do I hate-
revisited and didn't hate it as much, but definitely didn't love it.
Okay, I can't believe I'm getting this. Well, then again, I almost said I can't believe I'm getting this platform. It is my platform.
Yeah.
It's your own platform, yeah.
Yeah.
This
So
might be the third time you've talked about
yeah,
it too.
for
so-
my 30 seconds on this, I hated Control because you guys ever play those games when 10 seconds into the game, even moving your character is awkward and you know you're in for it?
Yeah.
Like you just know it's not going to be
Sure.
good. And then there's
Sure.
like 2 minutes into the game, the script script is bad. You can pick dialogue out of order, so the story doesn't make sense. I think I'm not trying to disparage anybody. I just feel like the acting job is really bad in this game, and it's bad to the point where I'm not sure if it was on purpose. Like, because the game is kind of weird for the sake of being weird.
Sure.
And like, and also it's a horror game, but there are radial quests and enemies have levels above your heads. Like, fuck you. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, you totally, I was like trying to rack my brain. I went with a movie because I was like, I'm trying to think about what game like really disappointed me. Control is absolutely that game for me, because for me it's because like, I mean, the acting is pretty rough. I think it's just because from the description and from the aesthetic and from what like the world they're trying to build, it is poised to be such an interesting
cool,
game.
right?
It's
And it is
poised to
not.
be so cool. Like I'm talking like, this is like, okay, a video game based on MK Ultra. Just like take me down that mid-century CIA dropping acid, crazy like sci-fi horror bullshit. I'm on board. And then the game is just like, just fucking vile.
Tedious.
It's just like, it was so,
Thank you.
so upsetting to like play, and like the battle, the way you like fight and all the controls. I'm just like, get me out of here. Get me the fuck out of here.
Dude, it doesn't. The tone in the game don't align at all, dude. Sorry, I shouldn't turn this into a shitting on Control podcast.
That's okay.
But like, before we move on, Drew, you said you replayed it. You didn't hate it as much as you thought you did.
I got halfway through it and turned it off because I was like, this is really disappointing. I agree. I was very disappointed. And then like was either going to buy Red Dead 2 for the full price. And I think it was going to go on sale like the next week. So I was like, I'll just replay Control. And I managed to finish it. But definitely... Yeah, like I get it. Like, you know.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Cute. Yeah. All right.
So, God, I'm so glad we align on that because the game reviewed so well and it makes me so mad. But like,
it didn't feel like a AAA title. Was it a AAA title?
No, I think you'd consider it a AA title, but I really like that company. I like Alan Wake, so I was so disappointed. So, I mean, we just talked about Control for so long. I think I was the last one to answer. I'm going to move on to the next question. So, thank you guys so much for coming on. This is going to be the last one before we run too long. So let's end it on a fun note here. What movie was the most fun to see in theaters for you guys? You saw it live. You saw it in the theater with people. What was the most fun? Beppy, do you have one?
Most fun?
Yeah, most fun. You were with other people in the theater, and it was fun being there with everybody.
I went to see that movie Mother in Queens.
Yeah.
And it got a hell of a reaction, let me tell you. Probably not the one the director intended, but it was a lot of fun to watch that.
Drew or Andrew, do you have one?
The most fun I ever had in a movie theater. I can tell you the hardest I've ever laughed. So I'm going to absolutely count this as the most fun I ever had in a movie was Jackass 2.
Oh, good one.
I don't think I've ever laughed that hard in my life, let alone in a movie theater. I remember being like, people thought I wasn't okay. Like I was like people checked on me in Jackass 2. That is absolutely the funniest movie I've ever seen. The funniest, the hardest I've ever laughed in a movie, without a doubt. And I saw it with like a small group of friends. So like coupled with that, we were all just falling out. So of course that's like the most fun I've ever had in a movie.
Nick.
Okay. I hate this. I'm going to use the same bad movie for two answers. The first time I saw The Room in theaters, I think you were there, Greg. Beppy, I believe you may have been there too. All of our friends were there. We threw the spoons. We said all the lines. That was an incredibly funny experience, and I probably won't ever forget it. It was great.
Drew, do you have one?
I think so. I think it's going to be a weird one. Josie and the Pussycats. I was like,
really?
I was like 14, and like we just talked through the whole movie. It was the worst for everyone else in the theater. It was probably a terrible experience, but I just remember having a really like one of those few times as a kid where you're like, oh, all my friends are here. We're having a great time, and the movie's shockingly weird. And so like the reveal at the end of Josie and the Pussycats, I remember being completely like blown away by like the bizarre twist ending. So I think that. Yeah, that's it. That's my answer.
Wow,
Nice.
man of taste. All
I
right.
like it.
I mean, sure.
So do you mind? So I have two that are very different.
Oh.
My number one might be Get Out.
Okay.
Oh, tight. Yeah.
Good one.
Because I was in a packed theater. We know it was totally sold out, and just the audience in the room just had so many good lines to shout at the movie, and it was just great. You know, when everybody's really locked in and everyone's scared and on edge and everyone's into it, it was just a great energy in that crowd. And Beppy, I can't believe you didn't say this. My other favorite one was Pass Through, Neil Breen.
Oh my God, Pass Through.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was
You guys,
great.
Neil Breen aficionados?
You guys aware of Neil Breen?
No.
Oh my! I can't believe we're
Wow.
talking about Neil Breen on this. Anyway, we won't go too. We won't
You've
go.
taken your first step into a larger
Oh
world.
my gosh.
We
No.
won't go too far here, but if you like The Room and like directors who think they're the shit and they also
this
act in it
fucking
and it's
guy.
really
Oh,
bad.
I know who it is. I know who it is. Never mind.
both of them
No,
just.
no.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Neil
Las
Breen,
Vegas'
yep.
finest.
Las Vegas' finest. Neil Breen. Yes. Holy hell. Absolutely.
So everybody, thank you so much for being on. We've covered a lot of content today. Drew, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on.
Sure. Thanks for having us.
Beppy, Nick, and myself, thank you guys so much. This is going to do it for Goddamn GameCube, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.